David and Goliath, the giant and the shepherd. In a time long ago in the land of Israel, there was a great army led by King Saul, but there was a problem. A giant named Goliath from the enemy army of the Philistines came to the battlefield every day to challenge the Israelites. He was huge, taller than any man, and his armor weighed as much as a person. Every morning he shouted to the Israelites, "Send me your strongest warrior to fight me. If he defeats me, we will be your servants. But if I win, you will serve us." In a small town called Bethlehem, there was a young shepherd boy named David. He was the youngest of 8 brothers and spent his days watching over his father's sheep. One day, David's father asked him to bring food to his brothers who were fighting in the army. David arrived at the camp just as Goliath shouted his challenge. The Israelites were terrified, and no one wanted to face the giant. David heard Goliath's insults and saw how scared the soldiers were. He asked, "Who is this man that he dares to mock the armies of the living God?" His brothers were angry at him for asking questions, but David didn't back down. He said, "I'll fight him." King Saul heard about David's bravery and called him to the palace. "You're just a boy," Saul said. "Goliath has been a warrior for years. How can you fight him?" David replied, "When I was a shepherd, I protected my sheep from lions and bears. If God helped me defeat them, he will help me defeat this giant too." Saul was amazed by David's faith and agreed to let him fight. He offered David his own armor, but David found it too heavy. Instead, David chose to take 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream and his trusty sling. David said, "I don't need armor or a sword. I have God with me." David stepped onto the battlefield to face Goliath. The giant laughed when he saw the young boy. "Am I a dog that you come at me with a stick?" Goliath roared. But David didn't flinch. He said, "You come at me with a sword and spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel. Today God will deliver you into my hands." David took one of the stones, placed it in his sling, and spun it around. With one smooth motion, he let go, and the stone flew through the air, hitting Goliath right in the forehead. The giant fell to the ground with a thud. The Israelites cheered as Goliath lay defeated. David ran over to him, took Goliath's sword, and cut off his head. The Philistines saw their champion was defeated and ran away in fear. The Israelites chased after them and won the battle that day. David's faith in God had given him the strength to defeat a giant. The people of Israel celebrated their victory and sang songs praising David for his courage and trust in God. David didn't rely on his size or strength. He trusted God, who gave him the power to overcome even the biggest challenges. Just like David, we can face our own giants, whether they are fears, challenges, or doubts, knowing that God is with us and will help us through anything. When we trust in God, even the biggest problems can be defeated. God's power is greater than any fear or challenge we face. The David and Goliath story highlights David's courage, faith in God, and victory over impossible odds.